Hey guys, I wanted to preface this video really quick with an apology in advance for the weird laggy portions you're going to see in this video. I filmed this video like a month and a half ago and I cannot fix it in editing. I've even retried filming it. It just does not happen. So I chose to go with like the most authentic reaction that I could. And I promise in the future to continue to try and fix whatever's going on with this video. But thanks so much for stopping by, and let's get right into it. Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks so much for stopping by. Today I wanted to do something a little bit different. So I've been out of the marching band / drumline game for some time now. It's been a couple of years and I haven't really been watching a lot of videos and stuff. It's something I used to obsess over when I was trying to learn and get my skill up so that I can teach people better. But it's been a long time since I've actually watched some of the big names in the marching world, and I thought it would be a fun idea if I were to jump back into it, but take you along with me to see what I've missed in the past couple of years. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So for today's video, I thought it would be fun to go and watch one of the better groups out there, at least better high school groups out there, and I thought it'd be fun to watch the Chino Hills High School 2019 warm-up book. I feel like I'm going to get more watching their warm-up book than anything else, probably even more than the show. Maybe I'll watch the show later on, but just to see how they approach things, what kind of exercises they play, so that can tell you a lot about a group right off the bat. So without further ado, let's go ahead and check out this video, the Chino Hills 2019 Outdoor Ensemble, I believe. Oh look, they got a little husky. They got a little husky because they're the Chino Hills Huskies. Get it? So the first thing that strikes me is how nice and clean those tenor players are. Consistent heights throughout, the same kind of approach from player to player, which is something that it seems easy to get everybody to play the same way. It's not. It takes some work. People have certain habits. People are wired differently, and you have to do certain things to get them all to look and sound the same, which is why it takes so much practice. So for those of you guys that don't know, they're playing an exercise called stick control. And funny story, when I played this exercise back when I was in high school drumline, I didn't really know what it was for. I really didn't care for it that much, but it was kind of fun to play. Ooh, we got some double beat going. Good. But for stick control, you know, it was fun to play. Didn't really understand it, but now, fast forward several years later, it's one of my favorite exercises, one of my favorite go-to exercises, just to get your hands moving, which is something that, you know, like I understand why they're starting off with stick control, because it's just a good hand mover. Yeah, we got a little bit of body movement. I'm all for incorporating body movement if you can. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes your line is just too young, but incorporating it into your warm-up routine, I'm all for it. Ooh, kicking up some tempo. We're a little bit warmer now. We can start kicking tempo for the stick control. Good stuff. So also, for those of you guys that don't know, there are some drums in the back. They're like kind of shallow shelled drums back there, and you guys probably know better than I do now, but I learned a few years ago that that's kind of a new thing that bigger programs are doing. And those guys, as far as I know, aren't a part of the drumline per se. You know, you see the snares, the tenors, and the basses, which never get any love. Where are the basses? But those guys are actually back there playing everything with the battery, like the actual battery, just to basically get their hands moving, start getting those hands moving so that they can be ready to jump onto a drum the following year, or whenever the instructor deems it, you know, a good time, that when they're ready to jump onto one of these drums. And I think it's a great idea because, you know, say you start your line in April, in May, whatever it is, that's not a lot of time to get those hands moving. The drumming muscles are a lot like, you know, if you go to work out in the gym, you're lifting weights, you're not going to go out and start lifting, you know, 100-pound dumbbells on your curls or benching 225 out of the gate. It's not something that happens. So it takes a long time to get those muscles working, especially if you've never used them before in your life. Like this, especially traditional players, this is not natural. It's not something you go around doing. So I'm a big fan. If you have the numbers, absolutely put some guys on one of those drums, have them work with your battery as much as they can. You know, they learn a lot from their peers as well. Cool, we got some tap work going right here. One thing I noticed at the beginning, I don't know if it's a little bit, oh look, here we go. Here are my basses. There we go. We're finally getting some bass love. Unfortunately, they're behind these fine gentlemen. I don't know if these guys are techs or just blocking the cameraman, but we're getting some nice sextuplet splits here. Beautiful. I mean, those are some of the, people would think that sextuplet splits are hard to do, and they're not that hard. It's just about how you approach it, and if you're thinking correctly, then you're going to play those sextuplet splits beautifully every single time if you approach them the correct way. And that's what separates really, good bass lines from bass lines that, are just kind of throwing notes, trying to get a good sound out of it. One thing I noticed mostly in the snares, I don't know if the tenor players, usually when I watch Chino Hills, the tenor players are usually the better players. That's just my opinion. I could be pretty. We're getting some 30-second note splits in the basses. I love bass line. One of my favorite things to teach is bass line. I am not a bass line player, but I love it. So right here, yeah, that's what I thought. Right here, we've got something like a paradiddle exercise and a slow diddle exercise. It's important to hit things like this at this tempo. There are two different speeds, and there are two different techniques for diddles at different speeds. Here at this tempo, you're using a different type of approach to get those diddles out. It's more of you're kind of stroking it out more. That's kind of the way I define it. It's not, when you get to faster rolls, you're going to use a different technique, but here you're kind of still trying to control the stroke as best as you can to make sure you're getting a crisp, evenly spaced sound, which is what they're getting right here. Oh, here we go. Now we got some little triplet diddle action going over there, but it's different. The approach is different. But one thing I'm liking about these guys, especially the snares, was where I can really hear it the most. You get a little bit more digging in the tenor drums, but that's just the nature of the instrument. But they're getting a really nice, even tone quality as they're playing. There's nothing sticking out in their taps and those paradiddles. So really, really, really good job there. And they're getting a nice, crisp accent. One drumline I had recently had that issue. They had a really nice tap sound to them, but they couldn't differentiate from the accent. It was hard for them to get a nice beefy accent and then transition into the tap. So sometimes the accents would get lost in their paradiddle exercise. Here, I was talking about it earlier, being a little bit weirded out by their technique because it was really wristy, but now as I see them playing this paradiddle exercise / triplet diddle exercise, whatever it may be, I'm getting a lot more arm in their playing, which is the way I like to approach it. They're starting to look a lot more like what I prefer to teach, a very loose grip, but also powerful kind of grip that's going to give you good tone quality, good mature tone quality while not sounding too weak. Again, tenors look great. I was saying earlier, I think these guys are the most veteran players out of this whole line because all their tap heights are so consistent across the board. They're getting nice accents and beautiful tone from those taps. It's hard to believe sometimes that these guys are high school players. So So here now we're jumping into a triple diddle exercise. If you notice here, it's not really a wrist stroke anymore or anything like that. It's more of an arm. If you take a look at the end snare right here, you got a lot of pump action going. Even from the tenors, you can kind of see it when they get, here we go, when they get to long rolls, you get a lot of that pump coming from the elbow. Oh, okay. So this is good. This is something that I wasn't a fan of when I was younger, especially my first few years teaching. I didn't like, what they're doing is they're playing buzzes in terms of their diddles. There we go. Now we got the diddles. So what they're doing is they're going to play a few reps buzzed and then the next rolled, and that's it depends on how you approach. It depends on how you approach the exercise. You know, the exercise is a diddle exercise when it comes down to it, but if you're going to go and do the buzz route, you normally in a buzz you pinch at the front of the grip, and that's not really going to do you any favors in terms of diddles. When you're doing the buzz, you want to work on making sure that the back fulcrum is working to get you that buzz, because the purpose of the buzz is to strengthen the muscles, just like we were talking about earlier. You know, drumming is a lot like lifting weights. You've got to work to get where you're trying to go, basically. So I may be wrong, but this sounds like their triplet diddle exercise that they were playing earlier. So I'm assuming that after they play this on buzzes, they're going to go ahead and play it on diddles. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is their triplet diddle exercise. Oh, there it is. There's that little passage. There we go. Now we're at diddles. What did I tell you? Diddles are not as hard as a lot of people make it out to be. It's just a lot of it has to do with pressure and timing of your check pattern is really what it boils down to. The great thing about this line is, I mean, I love that diddle tone quality that they're getting across the board. Like, it's just so oh, we're getting into smaller stuff here. It's such a clean diddle roll, nice, and there's no pounding through it. You're not getting a dig kind of feel for the triplet diddle. It's such a mature sounding diddle, which is fantastic. Yeah, those basses are getting to show off a little bit here in this odd metered stuff. Yeah, basses, good stuff up back there. Oh, we got some shot work going on for bass one. Good for them. And that's pretty much it. Thanks so much for joining me on my return to the drumming world, kind of watching some of these guys. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked the video, don't forget to hit that like button. And if you really liked the video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Also, because, you know, I think I had a lot of fun watching these guys. It's been a minute since I've watched them, but on top of that, I'm thinking of not just watching drumline videos and reacting to drumline videos. I want to do a whole series of reacting to different kinds of drumming in general. I want to take a look at some ethnic drumming videos. I want to do a Scottish. You know, here where I'm from, the high school I went to has a really strong Scottish influence. I want to do some reaction videos to professional level Scottish drumming, which is very similar. It's rudimental drumming, but in the Scottish way. So that's definitely something I want to take a look at, as well as reacting to different marching bands. You know, just recently I started dipping into the visual aspect of marching band as well as, you know, the tonal aspect. So I think it'll be a lot of fun to watch some really good marching bands and maybe some not so good marching bands, talk about some things that they could possibly do better to improve themselves. So I think we're gonna have a lot of fun on this channel. If there's anything that you guys want me to watch and react to, maybe talk about a little bit, feel free to leave that below in the comments. And or if you just want to leave some love, whatever it is that you want to do, I'd appreciate that. Thanks so much for watching, and hopefully we'll see you guys next time. See ya.